Hello, welcome back to the Villa View for a match preview for Villa's game on Saturday against Ipswich Town.
Thanks to OneFootball for sponsoring this video and all of our match preview content in November. You can download the app by visiting the link in the top line of the description. I'm not going to bore you with stats for this one. Let's take it right back to basics and just have an update on the Championship League table. We're now up in 4th on 32 points. A win on Saturday wouldn't see us move up a place, but can hopefully close that gap on the automatic spots. Speaking of which, Cardiff currently occupies 2nd on 37 points. Still tight as ever in the playoff positions. Sheffield United moved down to 3rd, 4 points ahead of us. Bristol City sitting 5th, a point behind, and Middlesbrough and Derby are 6th and 7th respectively, both on 29 points. The two also play each other at the Riverside tomorrow. Other notable games this weekend: Bristol City travel to Hull, so we could do Bruce's old side picking up some points there. Sheffield United welcome Birmingham City to Bramall Lane for a 5:30 kick-off, so a win for us at Villa Park could put pressure on United, with us just a point behind them as they kick off. Obviously though, we have to focus on our own task before we get too carried away, but it looks like it could be another interesting week in the Championship. Alright then Dan, I'll start off with a question as I always do, a little bit different tonight. How did you get on at five-a-side?
Lost last kick of the game. Now QPR must have felt at half time now. Last week wasn't a good standard tonight. And I made a mistake. But I did make some worldies as well, so it's one of them.
Talking of a last kick of the game, Sheffield Wednesday equalised against Ipswich on Wednesday. Last kick of the game, 95th minute. Absolute kicker. I think the game before that they equalised in the last minute. So their fans have had best of both worlds in a matter of days there. You
can't enjoy it though if you've had the elation and then a few days later you've got the dejection. You've had no time to enjoy it, so I feel quite sorry for them, because I do think these things do even themselves out across the season. I've always believed that. Well, actually, in some seasons with Villa, I've not believed that at all, but in general, I've always believed that. But to have that happen a few days after you've had the elation, that must be a real kicker.
Do you think that will affect the players conceding last minute like that?
It can do. It depends what the state of the game is on Saturday going towards the end of it. If we're behind or we're drawing, chasing a win and we're attacking, it must run through players' minds what's happened the games before, because you pick up bad habits. You saw with Villa last season, we went on a run where we couldn't hang on to leads, couldn't hang on to results going into the final 5 minutes of games under Di Matteo, and it kept happening. So it obviously plays on players' minds, but Mick McCarthy's teams have always been around the block, and I'd be surprised if he stood for that kind of thing, to be honest. He's a bit no-nonsense.
Yeah, I do have a little bit of a soft spot for McCarthy. I think I like his straight talking attitude for press conferences and things like that. He reminds me a little bit of Bruce in that aspect.
There's straight talking, and then there's Mick McCarthy. He literally does not give a flyer what anyone thinks of him, even the Ipswich fans. I mean, he's got a bit of a tempestuous, is that a word? Tempestuous relationship with the Ipswich fans.
Don't ask me.
This season, to be fair, I've heard him come out and say a few things. I don't think they're mad keen on him, the Ipswich fans, but you look at where they are in the league, I don't think they can be expected to be doing any better under anyone else, in all honesty. They can do damage. I think they've got 3 or 4 decent strikers that they seem to rotate, so he always keeps his front line fresh, and they've probably got one of the smallest budgets in the league, so to have them up there challenging towards the playoffs, he deserves a massive amount of credit, and I quite like him. I'd never want him in charge of Villa, but I quite like him as well.
Well, David McGoldrick's got 8 goals from this year, but he's out injured for this game. I think he's out for a month. So to miss a player that scored 8 goals is obviously going to be a major factor in the way they set up now.
So they've got Waghorn, who's playing well, scored a lot of goals as well for them this season. He's been around the block like McCarthy as well, for someone who's actually quite young. But he's an astute Championship player. The thing with McCarthy is he identifies the right kind of players for the team that Ipswich are. He makes them hard to beat. He makes them well drilled. And in the forward positions, he always gets effective players. They're not world beaters, but they're effective. And I think he's done a good job there. As I say, I don't think they can expect to be any higher, the Ipswich fans.
I was watching the highlights from their Sheffield Wednesday game before we came on, and they love a diagonal ball from the back. It seems that I think they're playing 4-4-2. They like to push the wingers out wide, obviously, but they go long from the centre back. Always goes diagonal every time. Do you think that'll suit Hutton and Taylor to sort of drop back a bit, watch out for those diagonal balls, and then we counter off that?
It won't suit Taylor. He's not very tall, is he, Taylor?
No, I guess so. I was thinking more that he's more inclined to stay back a little bit, so he'll be in the areas ready for a long ball.
It'll suit Hutton, either of them going aerially or along the floor on the diagonal, and he's playing very well at the moment. Alan Hutton, yeah. I'm sure, will come on to that. But they're a direct side at times, but that could play into our hands with Samba as well. That's the kind of game he'll prefer. When Sunderland were playing it around on the floor a bit on Tuesday, they were the moments he looked a little bit uneasy, if you can describe him as uneasy, because I thought he had a good game. But that plays into his hands. If they're throwing diagonal balls, long balls into the box, Samba will eat them for breakfast, especially against a striker like Waghorn, who's not particularly tall.
Yeah, that's a good shout. Do you think there'll be any line-up changes for Villa?
I don't think there will be, but I think there should be. We saw a few weeks ago, we played 3 games in 7 days. Sheffield Wednesday was the last one of that run, and we looked jaded and we looked tired. I hope he does change it, but I've got a sneaky feeling he either won't change it as much as we think he should, like he'll maybe make one change, or he'll keep it the same.
I don't know, it's just a little bit undecided for me, because I feel like there's similarities with that Sheffield Wednesday game where you feel like we need to make changes to freshen it up. Obviously the 3 games in 7 days is a massive factor in that. But I also think that, I don't know, can you change a winning team?
Well, I think on Tuesday you couldn't change a winning team because we played so well.
Yeah.
Against QPR, as I say, it was the best performance I've seen Villa have in years. So Tuesday, if we're being honest, we didn't play as well. We got the result, and the result is king. That's all I care about. I'm happy for us to grind out results when we need to, but we didn't play well. So I think to freshen it up and make change, I think would be beneficial to us, especially against a team that won't give us a second in Ipswich. They'll take advantage of any tiredness. I suppose Ipswich have played a day later than us, so that might help us, and that might negate the need to make as many changes. But if it was me, I'd be throwing Jedinak and Grealish in. Do
you think, though, that if Onuma does come out and he comes in for Grealish, rather than maybe he sticks Grealish in that 10 as a straight swap, he might be tempted to bring Grealish on the left and put a dome up front with Davis? And go as a proper 4-4-2 to sort of go against Ipswich's 4-4-2?
I think the fact that we tried 4-4-2 against Sheffield Wednesday and it did not work, I think he'll stay clear of that formation for a while. I don't think we look comfortable playing that. I always think with Villa, you need either the number 10 helping link the play, and you need a number 10 that drops back into the midfield to make it a 3 when you're defending, which Onuma does do, to be fair. But I actually think Onuma could play as a central midfielder as well. He's got a bit of bite about him as well. He gets around and he gets stuck in when he needs to. I don't think that's something we'll see on Saturday, but in the future maybe I'd quite like to see Onuma in central midfield and Grealish as a 10.
Right, so we always go for a predicted lineup that Bruce will go for rather than what we would personally do. So what do you think Bruce will do on Saturday?
Neck on the line, if I had to make a prediction, I'll go with just Jedinak for Whelan. That'll be the only change he makes. But that I do have an inkling that he may keep the same team. It's worth mentioning I got the team right on Tuesday and got the full-time score right on Fanscore, so that got me 200 points. That moved me up the league a little bit, but I still haven't broke into that top 200, which is shambolic.
You're lucky you're even in the top 300. I still don't think you can even see me on there yet if you go looking.
I've not managed to find you yet. Do you think you'll change your team?
I don't know. Like I say, obviously we did predicted. If it was up to me, I'd be changing probably Jedinak and Grealish, I think.
Yeah, me too.
Definitely Jedinak, Grealish 50-50. But I don't know, I agree with you. I don't think he'll change it. I think he's got that mindset of why change a winning team? Even though, like you say, it wasn't a good performance, so maybe you think we need to make changes because the performance wasn't there. At the end of the day, we still won at home again. So maybe he just thinks, right, just go out again. You know your jobs, just stick to it, and we'll grind it out like we seem to do.
I do think Bruce will be wary of Ipswich, especially knowing what happened last year. I don't think he'll take this for granted. So if anyone's not fully fit, I'd like to think that he'll make the change based on the fact. I mean, they did our 100% home record last year, if I remember. It was a very sombre atmosphere after that game because we weren't on a very good run. But you look at us now, we're fourth in the league, we're performing well. I don't see how anyone could be critical of the players or the coaching staff and manager at the moment. I'm enjoying being a Villa fan. I'm enjoying that we're showing some resilience. When our backs are against the wall, we've come up trumps. I mean, every time we've lost recently, we've gone on and won the next few games, which shows an excellent mentality within the squad. So I think we'll win. I think we'll win on Saturday. I think it might be another 2-1 actually for the third game in a row. If I had to predict a score, I'd say 2-1. And I'm going to go first goal. It's difficult to go against Adoma at the moment, but the minute that I predict him to score the first goal, he won't score. So by that virtue, I'm going to take a punt at Samba again. One of the days this will come off, Samba first goal.
Well, you've jumped right into fan score, and I haven't even had a chance to introduce it. That's how speedy you are tonight. But obviously, if you haven't joined the league, the link's up on the screen somewhere. I've gone with... I'm just going to check what I put down before. I've gone with 2-1 Villa and Horahan to score first. I just think we'll 2-1 back to back. Go for it again.
You turn into Matt Lynch, you are, with the copying of predictions. It'd be nice to have a co-host that didn't copy me. To be fair, I'd almost zoned out when you were saying your prediction. I've written it down so you can check it if you want to. I believe you. It's good to know that you're zoning out when I'm talking though. That hopefully people that are actually watching and don't feel the same way that you do.
Finally, whilst we're on the topic of predictions, this is probably more maybe a podcast topic, but I'm going to push you for an answer. If you had to make a decision right now, do Villa make the top 2?
No, because I think Wolves and Cardiff will get more points than us.
I think Cardiff will drop off.
Warnock doesn't mess around. I think they're there to stay, Wolves and Cardiff. Wolves especially. Wolves are on absolute fire.
I think I was listening on WM the other day on the way to the game, and somebody was saying, is it possible that Villa make the top 2, or is top 6 just the aim? It's definitely possible, because it's only like 4 or 5 points away.
If I had to predict a position at the moment of where I think we'll finish, I'd say 3rd. I just think Cardiff and Wolves will be that little bit more consistent than we are.
I know obviously you get in the playoffs whether you finish 3rd or 6th, but would you be slightly disappointed with 3rd to not get 2nd?
I'd be gutted. It depends what the margins are. I'd be gutted though, because the team that finishes 3rd, I know Huddersfield went up last season, usually the team that finishes 3rd doesn't go up.
Or maybe if people let their predictions known in the comments as well, and you can talk about that in the next podcast. I just thought I'd drop it in at the end while we were on predictions, push you for an answer.
It's a good question. What do you think? You think 2nd?
I think we'll get 2nd. I think Wolves will finish top, but I know people are like, oh, Wolves are going to run away with it, and they are playing great, but we haven't even played half the games yet. So I do think Wolves will finish top still, but I don't think it'll be a sort of prediction of like like when a robot does it, basically.
Yeah.
I think Wolves will have like 110 points or something. And it was like a big gap between 1st and 2nd, and then an even bigger one between 2nd and 3rd. I don't think it'll be that big. I think we'll just scrape into 2nd.
I'd take 2nd now, absolutely snap your hands off, because I do not want to go through the playoffs. I mean, to go by the playoffs must feel excellent, but there's a very good chance that you be in the playoffs and you don't go up, and I can't imagine what that heartbreak must feel like, and I don't want to know what it feels like. Thank you very much for tuning in to today's match preview show. We hope you enjoyed the video. Do let us know in the comments what you thought of the video and what you think is going to happen on Saturday for Villa's big game. If you're not already a subscriber to the channel, then please subscribe with your post notifications on. We recently hit 9k, which feels like a pretty big milestone. If we get to 10k anytime soon, we'll be absolutely delighted. If you haven't watched our podcast yet, Tom, Julian and myself were in the Dodgy booth on Wednesday recording that, so that came out on Thursday. If you haven't watched or listened to that yet, then it's available via all the usual formats, so if you could check that out, that'd be great. I'll be doing Facebook Live around 2 o'clock with a jet-lagged Ian Taylor for AVFC Official, so tune into that if you're not lucky enough to be at the game, and you can do that, as I say, via Facebook. Either Max or myself will be doing fan cams after the game, so come and see us by the whole 10 to have your say on what hopefully is a Villa win. Hopefully we'll be toasting 3 points. Thanks once again for watching Up the Villa. If you enjoyed that video, why not watch another? Click the video choices on screen now to go and watch them in full. Be sure to subscribe to the channel by clicking our logo there on the left. Easy peasy.